For this video, I will be doing how to be a pro builder with no game passes. This is the first time I'm using my voice, so I hope you enjoy. Tip number 1, use small grid. Also, thank you so much for 50 subscribers. So over here my cursor that is the grid, and I'm turning it to the smallest setting, small grid. And I would recommend using it because it can work like advanced placing since you can place things closer together, and it just makes it so much easier to build and add details. Tip number 2, pillars before walls. So it's really nice to add pillars in your builds just because it adds so much more detail and makes builds so much prettier and realistic. But without game passes, you have to add the pillars before the walls, which is a little more effort, but you'll get used to it. But if you try to add it after the wall, it won't work since you don't have advanced placing. But use pillars, they're good. Tip number 3, don't try to make a really big house. A mistake that a lot of people make is that they think they have to make a giant house to have a cool house, but that's not true. But especially since if you try to make a big house, you'll have a lot of empty space that you don't know how to fill. As you can see right here, I'm adding a few rooms, but then there's just so much space that you don't know how to fill. Also, it's just a big square, and you don't really want that. You kind of want to have a cooler, more realistic layout, which is what I'm doing right now. And I'm not going to make it super big. Also have some space, but I'll be able to fill that space. It won't be like a bunch of empty space you don't know how to fill. So right here, I'm going to be working on the layout. I probably should have put pillars before, but I'm just trying to show the layout. But definitely put pillars. Anyway, right here you can see I'm trying to do more of like a cooler layout, and I won't have that much empty space to fill, so that is the right thing to do. Tip number 4, details make everything better. So as you can see right here, I had some pillars in this build, and I'm just putting in some walls and some floor, but I'm just going to be explaining how to add, like how you should add details, and just that extra touch just makes build so much better. And now I'm going to be adding some wall trims, and wall trims are really nice because they can just give your builds a bit more of a realistic look, and they just add that little touch that you want. So as you can see, I added my wall trims, and it already is looking more realistic and nice. And right now I'm going to be using the example of a living room, but you can apply these tips all throughout your home. So as you can see, a lot of times people just try to make kind of like simple things, like just like a sofa and a fireplace and a TV, and that's it. But there's so much more you can do with your builds. You can add like a window like I'm doing right now, and you can add some more angles, books, bookshelves, just so much more. So you really have to think about it and add some more details, and that can just make your builds look really pretty and nice, and that's just really what you want to do. So I'm gonna add a bookshelf, and later I'll put some books into it, and just kind of add some more detailing. And also you'll see me doing this in a little bit, but I'm gonna add, right now I'm adding a painting, and paintings are nice because you can add a little bit more detail and just kind of like also add a little bit of your personality into the build. And I'm also going to be adding some plants, and plants are really nice, especially if you want to fill just like a corner that you don't know how to fill, and they just kind of add a nice vibe to your build. And I'm going to be adding a TV, but you see the TV isn't going to take up the whole fireplace area because that would be a really big TV. But that kind of leaves a little bit empty space on the fireplace, but that's a good thing because then you can just add like some books, a plant, whatever you want. Just add a little bit more detail, and it makes it look really nice. Tip number 5, plan out your colors and have a color scheme. I would really recommend planning out your colors because then you kind of know what colors to use in your build, and it won't be as messy and spread out like different colors. Here I'm going to be using linen, hurricane gray, sage green, fossil, and buttermilk, which is yellow, and fossil is kind of bluish. So it'll be kind of a greenish, bluish, yellowish theme. And it's always nice to have a theme because then you can kind of just stick to that theme and use it, and it makes your builds look so much more organized but also really pretty. And tip number 5, part 2, so it's kind of the same as my last tip, but I'm going to be showing you how I'm going to be using this color scheme and how you kind of just want to use the colors that you planned out, but maybe you'll think of a color that you want to use that fits with the color scheme at some point. But I would really recommend just using the color scheme that you planned out, because it just makes it easier, especially for me. Like, I like just having it planned out and not having to think of it on the spot, because a lot of times if you think of it on the spot, you'll have colors that don't look good. And now I'm going to be using more plants. Also, remember, use plants. They're really nice. And I'm going to be coloring them, and a good leaf color is Sand's Green or Artichoke. Artichoke is good too. But for this build, I'm going to be using Sand's Green. Also, remember to stick with the color scheme, because it makes everything look so much better. And you see right here, I'm going to be coloring the plants Sand Green again, but remember, Sand Green and Artichoke, they're both really good colors for plants. And now I'm just going to color everything a little more, sticking with the color scheme. You see, I just colored the fireplace linen, the light linen, and linen is a good lighting color because it's not super bright like white, and it just kind of gives the rooms a little warm feeling to it, and it's not extremely bright. I'm going to be adding a little more angles to the armchairs and sofas, just to kind of give it more of a realistic look. Now I'm going to color the walls, and a good wall color is Quill Gray and Light Stone Gray. They're both pretty good wall colors, and it's better than just having the plain gray color. You see here, I'm going to be adding some paintings, and paintings are really nice because you can change the pictures to match the color scheme, but they're also really good just to fill up any empty walls that you don't know how to fill, and they just make everything look so much prettier. I'm just going to keep on coloring everything and showing you how you would want to color things, and kind of just sticking with the color scheme. And you see, I'm coloring this dresser linen. Since my floor is Hurricane Gray, I'm using linen as another wood color. Tip number 6, you don't have to use expensive things. So a mistake that a lot of people make is that they think that you have to use really expensive stuff to make builds look good, but that's not true. Right here, I'm gonna go get the most expensive sofa. Well, you can use it looks fine too, but what I'm trying to say is that you can use the cheapest stuff and still make builds look good. You see, I'm pretty sure these sofas looks perfectly fine, and they are the cheapest ones, but they look good. Here I'm gonna add a big TV, and big TVs are fine too, but it's always a good idea just to try to use the cheapest stuff and make them look good. Tip number 7, don't get Game Passes unless you're sure. A mistake that a lot of people make is just getting Game Passes without even knowing how they work. And a person with Game Passes can give you permissions so you see kind of how it is, so you can decide a little better whether you want them or not, and whether you're going to be in Bloxburg for a while. You see, my friend camdonrose just gave me co-owner, and I'm going to go onto her plot and kind of just explore using Game Passes. This is actually what I did, and she's got multiple floors and advanced placing. And as you can see, here are the Game Passes that you can get, but also just really, I would recommend thinking about it and considering like whether you want them or not before just getting them. Okay, thanks for watching. This is now the end of the video, but thank you so much for 50 subscribers, and at 100 subscribers we will do a fan build off, so maybe think about subscribing if you want a chance to participate. And just let me know if you like me using my voice. This is my first time, so I might not be very good. Bye!